There's a certain thrill in discovering a watch that delivers more than expected. Not just more specs, but more personality. The Addiesdive AD2034 is one of those watches. At first glance, it seems straightforward. Quartz chronograph, Panda dial, and a sub $70 price tag. But spend a little time with it, and you realize it's got quirks, charm, and a lot to say. It's not perfect, but that's kind of what makes it interesting. So here's the thing. I usually like to give you a full review before jumping to conclusions, but with this one, I'll say it up front. I like it, I really do. But I also have mixed feelings, and I think by the end of this review, you'll understand why. Maybe you'll agree, maybe not. Either way, this is a watch that sparks conversation, and that's always a good sign. Now, the link to the listing is in the description below the video, so do check it out if you're interested in picking up a sharp price. And now, without further ado, let's dive in. Let's start with what we're working with. This is a 42mm stainless steel case with a 48mm lug-to-lug thanks to some nicely tucked in end links. Thickness is a hefty 15.2mm, but much of that comes from a dramatically domed sapphire crystal. It's unapologetically chunky, weighing in at around 165 grams. It feels solid, reassuring, and deliberate on the wrist. If you like your watches light and minimal, this isn't it. But if you enjoy a bit of wrist presence, you're in the right place. The star of the show is definitely that crystal. It's sapphire, which is already rare at this price, and it has a deep dome that gives it serious vintage vibes. It's got blue anti-reflective coating, and when viewed from an angle, you get these dramatic distortions that just scream retro charm. On a smaller dial, that distortion might feel playful. Here, it leans a little more theatrical, but depending on your taste, that might be a good thing. Moving to the dial, we get a high-gloss, piano black surface with big white numerals circling the perimeter. It's a Panda configuration with two sub-dials, 60-minute counter at 9 and a 24-hour indicator at 3. No date window here, which might disappoint some. Personally, I think it keeps the layout clean and faithful to the old-school chrono aesthetic. That said, with this much real estate on the dial, a subtle date window wouldn't have hurt. The contrast is excellent. The white hands, numerals, and markers stand out clearly against the black dial, and the lume is frankly shockingly good. Both the dial and the bezel glow with a vibrant, long-lasting blue that puts many pricier watches to shame. This isn't the kind of lume that fades out after 10 minutes. It holds its own. Addiesdive really nailed that part. Now, let's talk about the movement. Inside, you've got a Seiko VK63 mega-quartz movement. This is one of those hybrid mega-quartz setups, super accurate at around plus or minus 2 seconds per month and delivering a sweeping seconds hand for the chronograph. It's not a mechanical chrono, but it's a good simulation, and for the price, pretty impressive. It gives you that tactile feel when activating the pushers, with the added bonus of quartz reliability. Those pushers, by the way, are styled with a retro flair, cylindrical and chunky, positioned alongside a large 7mm signed crown. They feel solid, not mushy, and match the whole vintage racing aesthetic perfectly. Flip the watch to the side, and here's where things get a little divisive. The case flanks are polished to a mirror-like shine. It's well done. Clean, even reflective, but on a case this large, it can feel a bit too much. There's already a lot happening visually, and the polish pushes it into flashy territory. I think a brush side profile would have balanced it out better, kept the vibe a little more toolish and less jewelry-like. But hey, that's subjective. Let's get into the bezel now. It's a ceramic insert with a slim, vintage-style profile and tall coin edge. Marked out in 5-minute intervals from 0 to 60, it's fully functional, and yes, also fully lumed. Rotation feels tight and satisfying, with just a hair of backplay. For a budget chrono, that's more than acceptable. The fact that it's ceramic and lumed, that's a cherry on top. The bracelet deserves mention too. It's a 5-link design with alternating polished and brushed elements. It tapers from 20mm at the lugs to 16mm at the clasp, which helps it feel a little less chunky than it actually is. The end links integrate beautifully into the case. and overall tolerances are solid, nothing rattly or cheap here. The clasp is a fully milled unit with a double push button release and 5 micro adjustment holes. It's secure, it's functional, and it rounds out the watch with a touch of refinement. Caseback is screw down, signed, and helps the watch hit its 200-meter water resistance rating. That means this isn't just a good-looking chronograph, it's also dive ready. That's not a claim many sub $70 watches can confidently make. And it's not just a theoretical rating. Between the screw-down crown, solid build, and sapphire glass, this thing is ready for real-world use. So, where does all of that leave us? The Addiesdive AD2034 is a paradox of sorts. It's built tough, looks bold, and delivers value that's hard to argue with, but it also walks a fine line between bold and overdone. The large dimensions, that oversized dome, the polished flanks, all of it feels like it's leaning just a bit over the edge. Whether that works for you depends entirely on your taste. If you've got a larger wrist or just enjoy the presence of a bold chronograph with vintage charm and modern specs, this is a strong contender. On the other hand, if you prefer your watches under the radar with minimal glare and low-key elegance, this might feel like too much watch for your wrist. But here's the bottom line. For $63, you're getting a sapphire crystal ceramic bezel mega-quartz movement, 200 meters of water resistance, a fully lumed dial and bezel, and a very solid wrist. That's not just decent value, that's exceptional. Yes, there are other watches in this range. Yes, some of them might be smaller or have a cleaner look. But few pack this much into a single package. So yeah, I like it. Not blindly, not without critique, but I like it because it takes risks, it tries to stand out, and it actually delivers. If you're curious about the AD2034, I say check it out. And if you already own one, let me know what you think. Is it a keeper or a little too bold? Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.